A few years ago, HBO released The Last of Us. This is a highly successful TV series. It's episodic. It's based on a video game series called The Last of Us. The first season was really well received. There were some questions about some of the casting choices. Overall, the story decisions were well done. They tweaked some little things here and there, and I thought it was a great show. They added some unnecessary storylines, including an entire episode that had nothing to do with our main characters, that was based on a side character that we never saw in the first game. But overall, I thought the show was tremendous, and I really think that HBO did a great job with it. The second season has some things that I really like about it, and it has a lot more things that I think they've dropped the ball on, and I think are going to be long-term problems throughout this season. And the next season. So let's talk about The Last of Us Season 2. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post new content. Okay, so spoiler warning, I'm going to spoil the first season of The Last of Us. I'm going to spoil the first 2 episodes of Season 2, and I'm going to spoil both of the video games all the way through. So if you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 and you don't want to know how the story proceeds and ends, I'm not going to dive too much into like the future of this season, but I will talk somewhat about it, so consider yourself warned for spoilers. Do not proceed if you don't want to know anything about the games or the series. So I'm not here to critique the second game. There is tons of content already doing that. It's the internet. If you want to find people dunking and dumping on The Last of Us Part 2 or this season of the show, well, I'm going to dump on this season of the show, but if you want it, it's not a critique of the second game. So that's not what I'm here to do. There's things I don't like about the story. I might mention that, but it's all going to be in relation to the show. So here's what I liked. I think it was very smart to split this game into 2 seasons. There's a lot of ground to cover here, and they don't come close to doing that in the first 2 episodes. We are nowhere near Seattle. We don't know anything about the scars and very little about the WLF. So not a lot has progressed in terms of the story, except of course in the first 2 episodes, we get the biggest plot reveal of the entire thing. And I think that is way too early to be doing that, which is a critique that I have later. But I do think it was smart to split it all into 2 parts. I do have notes, which I'm consulting. The performances generally are really good. I think Caitlin Dever is a really good actress. I don't have any problems with Bella Ramsey. We will get into her casting, which I think is another issue entirely. But everybody here is good. HBO is really good about casting their talented actors and saying, hey, this is who I want to be in this role, and generally doing a great job of that. They've done that with all of their series for the most part. They really do put out high quality content. The production values I think are great too. Show looks fantastic. You can see the budget. Some of it's spent on some things that I think are a bit of a waste, which I will also get into. But overall, I think the general look and feel of the show is tremendous. They really did nail that. And the setting, I think they did a remarkable job with. I also really like that the way they introduced the stalkers. They're introduced later in the game, but I think the sequence where they introduce them is pretty cool. Those are the only things I can think of that I really do like and love about the show. The rest are going to be some critiques of it, so let's discuss those. I think the big thing is the casting. This is the biggest issue that the show has. Again, Caitlin Dever is a very capable actress. She's not right for the role of Abby because she looks like she's 90 pounds soaking wet. Abby in the game is jacked, which is a foil to the smaller and faster and more sneaky Ellie. Abby is freaking ripped. She could kick my ass in the games. In the show, having her be this petite and thin person, it doesn't work. She's not a foil to Abby. These are characters that are supposed to fight spoiler alert, are going to fight in this game and are in this show because they fight in the game. And it's just a very strange decision to have her in this part. I think she actually would have been a much better Abby, which leads us to the casting of Bella Ramsey. Bella Ramsey doesn't look or sound at all like Ellie in the first game, but you could pull it off because you just kind of needed a younger looking actress. It wasn't necessarily about the how she looks, but it is about how she looks now because she looks way too young for this part. She looks like she's perpetually going to be stuck looking like she's 12, and it simply doesn't work. A lot of time has passed between the first game and now. We've had tons of character development that the game gets into later, which we will see, and I'm assuming the show will get into later, but she simply doesn't look the part. She looks way too young. Doesn't mean she is too young, but for a character that has matured significantly between the last time we saw her and now, it's very noticeable immediately, and it doesn't work. You could see how they cast her for the first season, but it seems like they didn't even play the second game before they cast her for the first series, for the first season, and it's a huge mistake. They also have this massive battle sequence in Jackson Hole where this horde of zombies, like World War Z type zombies, invade and attack the city. It's a very Helm's Deep feel, and it's just completely pointless. You could have done this on a much smaller scale, and then it does two things. It's unnecessary, and I understand that HBO wants everybody to know how much money they spend on their shows, but that's essentially what this scene is. It introduces us to a big, bad, crazy zombie, but it also takes Tommy away from the big reveal and puts him in the middle of this fight. Tommy is a very important character in the second season. When Joel is killed, Tommy is in the room. Dina is not. Tommy's there. I don't understand why they took him out of that. He is essentially an antagonist in the second half of the second game to foil Abby. So you see Abby in a very much more like sympathetic light in the second half of the game, and Tommy is an antagonist to that. By taking him out of the scene where Joel is killed, I think it really does sap him of some of that anger and rage and motivation that we see later in the game when he goes to hunt down Abby in Seattle. I just don't, that's a weird choice, a weird artistic decision that maybe they will use to their advantage sometime later, but I get the feeling maybe it was to improve the relationship that Dina has with Ellie, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. I thought it was a huge mistake. I noticed it as soon as the scene started. It mostly tracks with what happens in the games, but it's very different. So I don't have a problem with how it's handled overall when she beats up Joel with a golf club. She kills him a little differently in this, but I think I don't have any issues with that part of it. It works well. And then here's the big thing. The twist in this game is that Ellie, when Joel kills the doctors, specifically the first doctor, and shoots him in the head to rescue Ellie at the end of season 1, the doctor is Abby's father. We don't know this until it's not late in the game, but we don't know this until much later. We've already had a ton of character development with Abby. You play through a huge chunk of the game as her, and then it's revealed who her father is, because they have this whole scene in the woods where they rescue a zebra, and you find out her dad's a surgeon, and then he's talking to the Fireflies about oh my gosh, we can reverse engineer a vaccine, and all of that is played out. And instead, we know in the first 10 minutes that Abby wants to kill Joel, and it saps the first 2 episodes of their life. It really does take away the intensity and the curiosity that the audience has regarding Abby. What is her motivation? Why is she why is she doing what she's doing? We don't even know that she's out to kill Joel until we have the big twist where she shoots him in the leg, and then it's like, oh my God, that's the big reveal. And it simply, by having all of that stuff so early in the series, I think that they took away just so much, like they had so much in their pocket to milk that like intensity, and I think they just took it away. I think it was a huge mistake. I think having that plot twist so soon was simply not the right decision. So they've made a lot of questionable choices in the first 2 episodes. The Ellie casting is unfortunately something they cannot do unless Abby gets like super jacked in future episodes. I think she was a huge miscast simply for her physical stature. If they had cast her and she bulked up, totally would have understood it, completely would have made sense, but I think it's a decision that they should not have made. So anyway, that's my review of the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us Season 2. I will review subsequent episodes as they are released. I think overall the show is okay. I don't think it's going to be what the first season was. I think it was smart to split it up into 2 seasons, but we will see what they do with the story moving forward. We have a ton of ground left to cover. I'm very interested to see where they end the first season. Where they end the second season and where they pick up the third and what all that looks like, because there's a lot they have to do moving forward. I will say something that I should have mentioned in the beginning, something that I really liked. I do think Isabela Merced's casting as Dina was a complete home run. I think she's great. She has about 1.5 times, like 50% more of the energy that I feel like Dina has in the second game. I'm actually almost done playing through the second game as we speak. I think she is awesome in this part. Super high energy, immediately like you can tell that all the guys in the room and even maybe the girls in the room are drawn to her presence, and I think she's awesome. I think she might end up being the best piece of casting they do in the entire series. And I think that's great. I also do love that all these people who only watched the series didn't know what they were getting in the second episode, where all the people in the games who played the games knew exactly what was coming. And I just think that's funny, because people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that they did this. And those of us who played the games have known this for several years, and I think there's something funny in that too. So thank you so much for checking out the review. As you noticed, this is dropping on a Saturday morning, which is my new time slot for all of these reviews. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and I will see you next Saturday at 9 a.m.